Welcome friends to this teleconferencing session of PGDHHM program. If you recall that in the last teleconferencing session held in last month, we have covered some areas of management, and you will be now well aware that what is management. We told you about the definition of management, what are the functions of management, what are the basic principles of management, and also we touched upon some of the techniques of the management, which was given in your block 1 of course 1. And we told you that in this teleconferencing session we will be continuing with the course 1, and we will be talking about human resource management, human resource planning, and other associated area with the management. So to discuss about this, the concept of human resource planning, human resource management, and various other elements like motivation, leadership, then there are other processes involved with the organizational management, communication, all those things will, and training and development, which are given in your block 2 and 3 of course 1. So our focus in next 3 sessions, now we are going to have 3 sessions, one from 12 to 12:45, another from 1 to 1:45, and then after lunch we'll be having another session. So during these 3 sessions we'll be having discussion on these content areas of the course 1. So now without wasting any time, I will just request Dr. Sood to tell you about something about the human resource planning. As you aware that last time when we were discussing, and we said that management is nothing but it is managing the resources in a meaningful manner. And when we were talking about resources, we said that man, money and material, these are the 3 important resources. So our focus today will be on the first M, that is man. So I will request Dr. Sood to give our learners, tell us something about that, how to go about planning of the health manpower, then how to recruit them, how to select them, what are the various procedures involved, and then of course we have got our other experts with us, Rear Admiral V.K. Singh and Professor Agarwal, who will be also giving their inputs and their valuable comments during the discussion. But let me tell you one thing very frankly, that earlier last time also I told you that try to make it a very interactive teleconferencing session. We don't want that we give a lecture from here and you listen and then you don't respond. We would like that more and more questions come from your side, so that we can take advantage of the expertise who are available with us this morning, and they can reply to your queries. But otherwise everything is given in the book that you can read. But here you should try to clarify your any problems or any difficulties whichever there is. So with this request we go on to the human resource.
Thank you, Professor Arora. In fact, as a manager at whatever level you are working, maybe at a hospital administrator or you are working in the health services, you may be playing a very important role of a manager. And as Professor Arora said, the main task of a manager is to decide. He has to take decision, and he has to take decision related to the resources which he has at his or her disposal. And these resources are in terms of money, these resources are in terms of material, equipment and human resource. So out of these different resources which are available to a manager, and a good manager is one who is able to use these resources to the best extent in an efficient and effective way to achieve the goals of the organization where he is working. And in fact this is a very challenging task. Money, material, manpower and equipment. Yes. So except for the manpower, which is a living resource, and a living person has a feelings and emotions, the way you can deal with a non-living resource like money, equipment, you cannot deal the same way with the human resource, because it has feelings and emotions. All of us are emotional and we have our own feelings, and it may be your experience that sometime if you are able to generate positive feelings in your subordinates and colleagues, they do wonderful job. And the same colleagues, sometimes they don't do what is expected from them. It may be a very simple thing. So that means the main challenge for a manager is to deal with the human resource. One, because it is difficult to manage, being a living resource with feeling and emotion. And secondly, if you don't have proper human resource, you cannot utilize the other resources optimally. You may have plenty of money, you may have the best equipment in the world, but if you don't have the trained, motivated manpower, all these resources are waste. And third important thing is that as a manager, you may be knowing that in any organization for that matter, most of the recurrent budget goes towards the salary of the manpower. In government setup, the proportion may be as high as 70 to 80%. So these are the three important reasons why you should be a good manager, and being a good manager means that you should be able to manage the human resource which is available to you. And this is very crucial. A successful manager is able to manage the human resource, and other resources become secondary, because through this resource, even with the minimal money, with the minimal equipment, with the minimum material, you can do wonders. And on the other hand, the human resource has a vast potential, which as a good manager should know how to utilize that potential. So many a time, especially in the government setup, we are faced with this problem, oh, people don't want to work. But if you analyze this concept in bit more detail, in a more logical manner, we feel that all of us want to work. How this? Because work is as necessary as food, water, air which we breathe and take. Work is also equally necessary. It may be different that one person is doing a negative work, but he is working. So work is a requirement. Now let's see from a physiological perspective how work is important for all of us. As you know, we take food, and this food is converted into energy, and always there is surplus of energy. So one of the basic requirement of all human beings is to utilize this surplus energy through work. That is different, the person is doing positive work or negative work, constructive work or destructive work. But you cannot avoid doing work from a physiological and nutritional perspective. So this assumption that people don't want to work is not held valid on this logical ground, that because as a human being you have to utilize that surplus energy, and work provides a channel through which this energy is utilized. Second important thing is that we say that the man is a social animal. So what happens when we come to a workplace? We interact with our seniors, we interact with our juniors, we interact with our subordinates, we have fights, we share our family experiences with them, sometimes have good interaction. So work provides a forum for social interaction. And I hope you remember, sometime if you are not well, you don't go to your office for 2 or 3 weeks, you miss your interaction. So from sociological perspective also, all of us want to develop good social relationships, and so we want to work, because work provides a forum through which we can have better interactive social relationships. So if it is not happening, that means as a manager I am not being able to generate that social environment where the constructive relations are there. Third and the most crucial thing is, through work all of us get an opportunity to sharpen and enhance our competencies, whatever competencies we have. We may be a surgeon, and you remember especially cardiothoracic surgeon or a neurosurgeon, he is able to perform a surgery 8 hours, 10 hours at a stretch without taking even a cup of tea. Why he is motivated? Because he finds that he is able to utilize his competencies, skills which he has acquired, and through this work opportunity, through this surgical procedure, he is further able to sharpen those competencies. And all of us, whether we are a medical professional or a paramedical professional, this is one of an inherent desire in all of us to excel in whatever field we are doing. If you are an artist, you want to be the best artist. If you are a singer, you want to be the best singer. If you are an actor, you want to be the best actor. And if you are a doctor, you want to be the best doctor. And how you develop yourself, the more you practice that area, the more perfection you get. So work from this psychological perspective also gives you satisfaction. And if in your unit, in your organization, people are not working, so that means there is something wrong at these 3 levels. Either you are not able to give them a work which is of their interest, or you have placed them in a situation where they are not able to utilize their competencies to the extent they think they have, or you are not able to give them a social interaction environment. So I think now all of us should be satisfied that from these 3 logical dimensions, that is physiological or nutritional perspective, social perspective and psychological perspective, all of us want to work. But this is also a reality that many people, especially in the government sector, are not working. So that means the challenge to the manager is how to manage this manpower, human resource which he has. And art or technique of a good manager is that he is able to utilize this manpower, human resource which he has to the full extent. Now let's see what are those techniques whereby we can do that. the main concern in human resource development, I think the key definition which is there in their books also, human resource development is to be viewed as a process. Process means it is a continuous thing. It is not a one-time thing. If you do a training program in your organization, if you are able to communicate or motivate your subordinate once in a year, that will not be sufficient. Because I said in the beginning that human nature is very unique. We have feelings and emotion. A person who is performing very well on one day may be the worst performer the other day. So that means human resource development has to be thought of as a process rather than a one-time activity. So human resource development is a process by which employees of an organization are helped in a continuous and planned way. These are two important keywords, continuous and planned. Because in an organization you are dealing with people with different competencies and skills. You have, for example, in hospital setting, you have professional on one hand, nursing professional, medical professional, you have the support staff, administrative staff. So that means as a hospital administrator, you will have to think of each and every employee in the hospital. And as soon as the employee join your organization, it has to be a continuous and planned way. Okay, what you will do for this class, a group A officer, group B officer, or staff C and D, what type of training programs, you must have a plan for them. Only then you will be able to utilize their full potential. So this is what the main keywords in the definition are. It is a continuous process and planned way. What we do in this, first to acquire, or you help your employees to acquire or sharpen their competencies. If you really want to motivate them, if you really want to give them job satisfaction, sometimes they may have certain competencies, capabilities, and you need only to sharpen them, give them opportunities whereby they develop those competencies. It could be give them work in that particular area, or have on-the-job training program or in-service training program where they feel that their competencies are being sharpened, or give them additional competency as they rise above in the ladder, in the management, or in the organization itself. The day a person joins, and after 2 years, 3 years, he is given additional responsibilities. So that means at that time you must plan for some additional competency skills to be given to this. So that is what very important key word in human resource development is, or management is, you help the employees acquire and sharpen their capabilities. Second, which is one very important issue, is develop and exploit their inner potential. If I ask most of you who are viewing this program, what is your competency, what is your potential, and how much actual potential you are able to utilize in the current job situation, maybe many of us will say only 5% of my potential is being utilized in my current job position. And this may be an answer from the people who are working in the government sector. Maybe there are some who are working in a non-governmental sector. They may say, oh, I am able to utilize my 50% of this potential. Very few of you will say, oh, I am able to utilize my 100% of the potential. So that is the main challenge for a manager. Good manager is one who is able to develop and exploit the inner potential of all the manpower. So this is again a paradigm. On one side we say that the manpower is not available, it is scarce. And the other time the reality, on the other extreme the reality is that whatever manpower we have, we are not able to utilize their full potential, and their potential goes unutilized. Sometimes we even find that the entire work life of the person goes like that, and after retirement you realize, oh, this person had such a good quality in this area. There are many examples you will find that person after retirement, he has excelled in an area which was totally different from where he has been working all throughout his 30-40 years. So that means as a manager you must know how to develop and exploit the inner potential. That is again a very important challenge. So how you will know the potential of a person? Here perhaps non-formal interaction is very, very important. Many a time in the government setup particularly, we maintain a very, you say, watertight superior-subordinate relationship, and these boundaries are gradually coming down. So what happens in a formal interaction, the response and questions and answers response is very formal. You ask a particular thing from your junior colleague, he will say yes sir, no sir, or maybe add few lines. So in formal interaction it is very difficult to assess the potential of a person. And what is happening in multinational companies and other non-governmental corporate sector institutions, they are asking for more and more informal interaction with the employees. The lines are, or the boundaries between different hierarchies are breaking down. And that is the main thing which helps you realize the potential of your subordinate. Now what are these informal interactions? Maybe you celebrate birthdays of the employees, or have family picnics, or go out for picnic, go for a movie together. These appear very, very strange things, but these small things are very, very important. You have informal interaction, have function, go to the, say, marriage ceremony of an employee, and there you don't maintain, because once you have informal interaction, their subordinate will open up. And during these interactions, you know, my God, this person has very good singing skills, or this person has very good organization skills. Maybe I can put in some area in my organization where I can use this. So realizing the inner potential, most of the time it is through informal interaction, which we should encourage. And the third element or third important component of a human resource management and human resource development is a part of it, is organization culture. This is very, very crucial. Many a time we find a person who is turned an idiot, a failure in one organization, but when he shifts to another organization, he does wonders in that. There are many examples. Our doctors, our professionals, when they are working in our country, they are labeled as an average performer or sometimes poor performer. But when the same person shifts to another organization which is non-government or corporate sector, or maybe goes abroad, he becomes a success, immediate success. So that means the person is the same, his competencies are the same, but something which has changed is the organization culture. And this culture, development of the culture, is sometimes we say that it is the people, they don't want to work, they don't have values. But let me remind you that work culture in any organization is given by the head of the institution. The people who are working at the top as head of departments, head of the units, they are giving the work culture and values to the organization. So we'll see subsequently how we can develop this. So just to remind you, in human resource management, these are the three very important key things which you should remember. Help your subordinates acquire and sharpen their capabilities and competencies so they give their best. Help them to exploit their inner potential. And third responsibility is with you, how to build a positive work culture. Now the question is how you can do that. There are techniques available, and one of the simplest technique available is human resource planning. Say if you go to market, you do planning. You do anything in your day-to-day activity, whether at home or office, planning is a part of it. Planning is nothing but preparing a blueprint for action. And like any other thing, any activity you are doing, planning of the human resource is also very, very important. And then we have the selection, recruitment, other forms of job assignments. This is another important mechanism. Then of course training and development, Professor Arora has also mentioned, should be a continuous inbuilt mechanism in any organization. We will start with the human resource planning. Human resource planning is nothing, sometimes we feel that this planning word is to be taken care of at the central level or high level. But I feel that even if you are working in a small hospital or primary health center, sub-center, even if you are having a private nursing home, planning is there. Human resource planning you are doing in knowingly or unknowingly. So when we say human resource planning, there are three things which are very, very important. First thing is the optimal number. What should be the number of manpower available to my unit for the optimal performance? So here let me tell you, it is not human resource is different. I have told you earlier also, it is not like that you have 1 lakh rupees and you have 2 lakhs rupees, your output will double. Because human resource is a strange resource. You have one person, you have X amount of work, you add one more person, it will not become X, 2X. It may become X by 2 or it may become X square, because human potential is vast. So the point I want to analyze, sometime, many a time, especially in the government sector, we say, oh, I am short of manpower. What I can do? I have only 2 doctors, I have 4 nurses. But number is not necessarily an indicator of better performance. Because human, as I mentioned, is a different than a is a living resource and different than a non-living resource. So in human resource planning, your concern is to have an optimal number. And how you can have the optimal number of different types of manpower? There are techniques available, and the basic information you will get through work study and method study. That means what type of job function you are expecting from a particular type of manpower, like nurses, what type of job assignments you expect from nurses in your unit. Now this will be different if you are working in a tertiary hospital, in an ICU ward, the job requirement from a nursing person is different. If you are working in a primary health center and small indoor, your requirement will be different. If you are having a private nursing home, your requirement will be different. So that means you can determine about the optimal number by knowing or defining the job functions. But unfortunately, especially when you join a government setup, you're never given a job. These are your job functions. Nobody tells you. So work study and method study are the scientific technique which will tell you that if you expect a doctor to see so many cases in the OPD or to perform so many major or minor surgical procedures, this much is the load in your unit, so this much number will be required. So this is time consuming and difficult
when
thing.
you are
Yes.
dealing with this thing, this is also given in that our when we were talking about last time that management techniques.
Yeah.
Maybe I can request Professor Agarwal and Admiral V.K. Singh to just focus that what is this
Yes,
work
sure.
study, how it can be
Yes,
carried
yes,
out.
it
so
is related. That will
it
be
is,
good. Yes.
I think that part you can cover. Sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Arora. You see in the management, which was covered with in the first teleconferencing, the mention has been made, and in the blocks also you will go through. You will see that there are we can divide the management techniques into two types: the quantitative and the qualitative. So the quantitative techniques are the one which probably we'll be discussing more in future. That includes the queuing theory, the operations research techniques, the inventory control, the ABC-VD analysis, and the other quantitative techniques. But today what we are talking is more of the behavioral techniques or the qualitative techniques of the management, which includes the human resource management, human resource planning, human resource development, and organization behavior laboratory exercises. So these are all the qualitative techniques which are very, very important from the organization functioning development point of view. And you see, Professor Sood has mentioned, Dr. Arora also mentioned that in any organization the success or the failure or the good or the bad organization will largely be dependent upon what is the climate in the organization, how is the workforce motivated, how is the leadership of the organization being, how the manager is discharging the role as a leader. Particularly in health sector, it is the doctor, it is the medical or the dental person, wherever the person is working in medical college or dental college. Particularly I am talking of the medical doctors. These medical doctors are the leader of the team, whether it is a primary health center or it is the Directorate General of Health Services. And I am leaving all the intervening institutions. So if this leadership role, if we are not training the doctors into the managerial role that we are supposed to perform, even if we are working in our own private nursing homes or clinics. So the doctor is the leader. What I am trying to emphasize, that doctor is the leader of the team at any given institution wherever he or she is working, and that leadership role is coming under the big question mark. Maybe the reason that during our medical or undergraduate or postgraduate medical education we have not been given an opportunity. This does not form one of the curricular aspects in the teaching and training of the medical graduates or the postgraduates. And as we come out of our teaching institutions and occupy the positions where we work in the team, so that's where the conflict comes. That's where the good or bad output will come. That we probably may be a very good surgeon, I may be a very good teacher, other person may be a very good neurosurgeon or cardiac surgeon, but when it comes to function in a team, when it comes to managing the organization as a head of the that particular organization, that's where probably we fail to a large extent, particularly in the public institutions, that the government institutions, government hospitals. So what I'm trying to say, Dr. Arora, is that we have to be very careful in the PG DHHM program. These course 1 and 2, which deal exclusively with the management, are sometimes looked upon by the students as very dry topics, but it is here again that you have to be very, very serious about learning the management techniques.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Dr. Arora. I think right from the time we started this, people have started talking of man, money, material, and they're all the people who are a listener here in this studio are women. So I think they have lots of objection that why only man and why not women, when they are the CEO of the global scenario, they are head of the state, So probably this is a psyche of a man. That is why the reservation even in parliament is not coming through, in spite of all the parliamentarians working on it. So maybe that is the time when the man was the only one who were in the management working in the organization. Women was only restricted to be a housewives or the mothers or the sisters, but now they are more coming into management. So there's a need to change this, I think. Man, money, material, I think the appropriate word for the next conference, we will think of it, all panelists, that what should be the last one, which other two has also been added, which Dr. Arora and Dr. Sood has been talking. There are two more things have been added now, is the minutes and mode. What is really important in management is, are you doing your job in a time frame given to you? You find there is a slippages. Health for all by 2000, we couldn't achieve it. What was the reason? Introspection, we will not go and talk about it. If you have not achieved, the consequences are very, very high in terms of slippages, loss, revenue loss. In terms of achieving it, you require more money, escalation factor. So the time management is the one very, very biggest thing which has really come. So when you talk, of course, on the top remain man or woman, whatever you think, the leadership style, that you will find that the human resource is the most sought resource, which you cannot go to the market and buy it immediately. They have to develop over a period of years. You can lift the money by just picking it up from the share market. You can have your own issues can be brought out, but not the man. And that is what today people are talking. There is such a shortage of qualified men at the higher echelon, that is why the age has now gone for teachers. They are teacher on my left and right. Now they want to, they have been requested to work till 65, unlike me that I retired in 60, because there is a shortage of resource of such a highly qualified people, and the nation wants more IITs, more IIMs. So the human resource is one of the biggest resource which has to be created, cultivated, and it takes years of these experiences which comes. The third one is the material has already been a separate issue which will be coming up. That material again you can shortlist and can import it, can buy it, can progress it, but the again human resource is the best. And the minute and mode. Minute we have already talked that the time management is the one has to be thought of, and that is how you find India by 2020, because there is a book by the President, so now everybody is talking what India would be, a superpower, regional power by 2020. Our 5-year plan, what a planning commission says, one has to do introspection, how much you achieve, not achieve. In health sector, I have said already, we are signatory for health by 2000, which we have slipped badly. There is the nations which are in developed countries have 6 to 7 bed per 1,000 population. Now what we are really have got is today 0.91 bed per 1,000 population, while Mudaliar committee in 50s have talked about 1 bed per 1,000 population. We are not able to achieve it. We are not able to achieve it. Maybe we have been producing more human being and there is a population explosion, could be one factor. There are beds which are added, and everybody is saying that even WHO and India says every year we have to add for 20,000 odd beds every year, because by 2050 as per assessment now there will be 1.6 billion population in India, in spite that the population is slightly stabilized. So these are the resources have to be thought of, and one bed in a district hospital will require 30 lakh rupees to prepare. You can imagine how much additional bed and how much resources would be required, and how much human being will be required to manage it. So the minute is the one thing which is equally important, and the last one is the mode. How you want to operationalize all this? How you want to really achieve by operationalizing, cut short the management now which has come with the theory of lean. You find that make your organization lean, cut down the cost, and that is what the quality perspective also. And when you really talk of management, it is a common sense also have to be applied. It is not only formal education. And by that, you find Dabbawalas of Bombay had got 6 Sigma. That there is hardly any, there is a failure 1 in 60 dabbas when they are distributed. There is a one wrong dabba which goes to a person. They were not educated. They have devised their own method. So as Dr. Sood and Dr. Arora have been telling, it is not always that there is a shortage of manpower. We have to think. We have to think how optimize, how upgrade their knowledge, how utilize a person and that is what is important. And one of the example, when I was in Bombay, in fact I never thought of Dabbawala, I only thought when Prince Charles met them. So after that I said let me go and see. And today all IIMs are doing in the project how it can be done. So it's the mode and operational part, and as already said Dr. Agrawal, the head of the person in the medical setup is the doctor. But unfortunately again, it is the Nursing Council of India who has brought hospital health management module into their BSc nursing as a curriculum. But have we got it in MBBS? Though we are supposed to be in charge of hospital in charge, I think we are the manager, bond manager, so it doesn't really require probably, but MCI has not brought in as such. And induction training also, very few states are doing it, it is not being induced. So the managerial, when you talk of a nurse who has to manage a ward, she has certain amount of formal education when she passes out BSc. But for a doctor passing an MBBS, probably how many things you can really get into it. And probably that could be the one reason it has not been included. So these are the one of those, as the quantitative and qualitative technique. When Dr. Agrawal was talking, with the quantitative techniques we'll be talking which is later, we thought right in the management that and everything will be talked, the materials will be talked subsequently, the mode would be talked also, but today we are talking of a human resource. And Dr. Sood has already brought out that how human resource can be tapped. Subsequently, how they can be, what is the need, what is the planning has to be done.
What he was trying to emphasize, there is no scarcity of the human resources. The only thing is how we need to deploy in the right way. How we need, as you said, that how if they be to tapped and how they need to be optimally utilized.
Yes.
Now this is. Should we say continuation now? No. Okay.
Dr. Sood, I think Dr. Agarwal and V.K. Singh sir has given very good inputs for. I think it will stimulate our learners, and I think we expect now more questions.
No, I'm surprised. Surprised, no questions are coming. Yes.
That's why I wanted to deviate from that. I stopped Dr. Sood and so in order to stimulate our learners that they can ask any questions. So I think more and more questions will come now. So Dr. Sood, you can continue.
So we were discussing about the human resource planning, and in human resource planning, I said there are three things. One is the number, second is the quality or competencies which you want, third is the placement at a proper place. When we say human resource planning for a hospital or a nursing home, that means you must know what is the optimal number you require for different manpower. Second, you must also know what are the optimal competencies. Again, I am using the word optimum, because if you are putting a person with more competency, he will leave your organization, because you will not be able to provide them in task variety, so he will leave it. So optimal skills, so you must know what are the types of skills you expect from this doctor or nursing person or paramedical staff. And third is where you place them in your organization or the unit. So when you talk about human resource planning, it is nothing but very simple. You must know the number, you must know the type of competencies desired at each level of people who you have in your organization. And third, which again is very important, where you will place them considering their competencies, so that they find the staff feels that they are satisfied, and at the same time you find the performance improves. So human resource planning, the basic concept is this: optimal placement, optimal number, and optimal competencies. Then there are certain ways how you can select the person, for example. So here comes the importance of selection and recruitment procedure. Unfortunately, in the government setup, this is not given the due importance. Now the person you are going to select today is going to be in the organization for the next 25 to 30 years. And how much time you spend in the selection of that person? Hardly 5 minutes, 10 minutes of interview. And this person is joining the organization and is going to be there for the next 30, 35 years. So that means we are not giving due importance to this selection, recruitment procedures and processes, which are very crucial, because this is the first step you are for identifying the right person. So the main objective of this is that you must select the person which is most suited to for your organization. And if you are not careful in this selection and recruitment procedure, there can be a lot of dissatisfaction among other employees. Say if you select a wrong person, and then again this person is going to be a liability on you, because he is not able to perform his or her task, and that means you will have to put another person along with this person so that the routine task can be done. And third, it will be demoralizing effect upon the other colleagues, other people who will maybe some good workers, for example. So this recruitment selection procedure is very, very important, and unfortunately it is not given that much importance in the government setup. But in the corporate, private sector, multinational company, they give lot of importance to that. So the purpose of this entire procedure is you have to send your information to all eligible people who are in the information in that particular area so that they apply to you. Then you have to select the right person who has the right skills and the right attitudes. Now what are the different mechanisms? How you can achieve this proper selection? So first is that there are different mechanisms available, especially when you are recruiting the professional manpower. The campus recruitment is very popular, especially among the IT people and management people. The time they go to the final year or they are about to appear in the final examination, this campus selection is already there. The good companies are picking up the best people. Second mechanism is that you can go for certain selection agencies which could be in private sector. You have to just inform what competency you want, and they will do the entire things, putting advertisement, having interview, and then they will send you the list of the short list of the people. Out of that you can select. Then employment exchanges are there, you can collect the information from them. Advertisement now through internet, advertisement through media is very important. Another important mechanism which sometimes we utilize is the employee circle. Already your existing employees, they can be they can give the positive view of the organization. They can suggest to their friends, okay, come join this hospital, join this nursing home, join this hospital, this will give you opportunities. The word of the mouth again has more authenticity than the other form of media. So these are the various ways whereby we can think of. Then if you have a large number of people who apply to you, there are shortlisting mechanism available. You may go for screening tests, and it could be in terms of multiple choice question. Then you shortlist 2 times, 3 times the number of people you require. Then to this smaller number you can give the aptitude test. Aptitude test basically to see whether this person will suit you. You can have skill assessment, or which we call trade test for certain people. If you think that you want to appoint a technical person with given specified technical skills, and you want to be sure that this person has these skills, you can think of having the skill assessment. So shortlisting can be done by screening test, by aptitude test, and again by skill test. Then is the interview. It's a very important mechanism is the interview. The interview is not only to collect information from the candidate, but also to give information to the candidate.
Sir, Darsud, there
Yes,
is a
yes,
question
please.
from the audience. Yes, yes, please.
See, this is what I said. There are different mechanisms. Once you are dealing, once you are dealing with large number of applications, it is not possible to, or it is too much time consuming or too much money is required. So then you can go for, as I said, for shortlisting of them. Shortlisting can be done in terms of screening tests. Screening test could be a written test. You can give multiple choice question. It depends on what type of manpower you are seeking. Or you say you shortlist out of say 1,000, you shortlist 100% through this screening test.
They can lay down
certain objective parameters are. Then you can have some aptitude test to 100 people administered. So again you bring down the number of applicants to 50, for example. This is what the multinational companies are doing. Because your purpose is to acquire the best manpower available. Because the person, if you select, because this is going to be in the organization for the next 30 years. So main premise is that if you have good people, the organization will do better. Because this person is going to utilize other resources also. So this is very crucial step, which I said in government sector is not giving due importance, not given due importance. So that way we can do the shortlisting, screening test, then aptitude test, and the taste test or skill test. This is third level. So in the skill test, you will say, okay, these are the 10 people who have the required level of competency I want. So then you can further expose them to other screening mechanism, and out of 10 you can select 1 or 2, whatever you have.
Thank you, sir.
And then how we can do that, there are different mechanisms, like interview is a usually thing which we are doing in our setup, whether in government setup or private sector. But sometimes we don't know how important interview is. We usually think that it is just asking question from the person or candidate who is appearing in the interview. Because interview is an opportunity where you are in direct face-to-face contact with the candidate. You will have to give him some information so that this candidate is also attracted towards the organization. So it is both way communication. That the candidate has the opportunity to know more about the organization. So in the interview, the question and interaction should be such that the candidate should also have the freedom to ask some questions, certain clarification, if he is not sure about it. And second is that you are also assessing the competencies and how we in interview, what is the main purpose of interview about the candidate. We know three things. We have to know three things. What is the capacity of the candidate? Capacity means how much a particular task or type of job responsibility he can be interested with. So this you can know from his qualification, basic qualification. Say you have MBBS person, okay, you expect he can do up to this particular level of surgery, these are the procedure which he can perform. If he is a postgraduate MS surgery, okay, your expectation, you know this is the capacity, this is the maximum you can expect from that. If he is a MCH, then so that is one thing which you assess is capacity, which is usually from the biodata, or you can say the basic qualification. Second is the competency. Okay, I am MS, I am MCH, but whether I am able to use that, so that is from your biodata, the previous work experience, what are the procedures he has done, what are the places he has worked, that you try to assess. And third is the capability. Capability means this person is competent, this person has the capacity, but whether this person will suit my organization or not. As I said, because as you have the expectation from the candidate also has the expectation from the organization. So if I am a doctor, I expect at least, as I said in the very beginning, opportunities for realizing my potential, opportunities for acquiring more and more skills. So that is very important. So that is the capability part, and that you assess whether this expectation of this candidate my organization is going to fulfill or not. So these are the three things which should be properly assessed at the time of interview, and that can definitely not be done in 5 minutes or 10 minutes time. And that is the reason now we have that phased interview. Say if you first level of interview is usually telephonic interview, especially in the multinational and the corporate sector, they will give you a call, they will ask about the basic information, they will ask about your expectation about the organization, you screen a particular level. Then if you are satisfied, then you call them in group. If you want to assess their leadership, as has been mentioned by Professor Agarwal and Vice Admiral Singh, that leadership is very crucial. So how you assess that leadership, not from degrees, they are very right. So during group interaction, what are his communication skills, what are his interpersonal relationship, how leadership competency, there are mechanisms, there are exercises whereby in group interview you can assess that. And then third hurdle could be a personal sort of final interview where you are open, you tell this is what I can offer to you, and the candidate can ask for more perks. So like that, this should be actually proper interview if you want to select. So this selection recruitment procedure is very, very crucial, and if you are not really...
There is another question. Yeah. Please.
Earlier you spoke of formal and informal interviews, especially with the medical line. What kind of interviews would you suggest are more effective in finding the right kind of manpower?
This is what I told you, this informal interaction, you cannot get much information. You ask me, okay, what is your qualification? I am MBBS or I am MD. Where you have worked? I have worked in these places. So what I said in group interview, what they do is they will put you in say potential, there are 4 or 5 doctors, they sit in together, and experts will observe you from one side mirror, how you are interacting with you. So you may not be knowing, but they are observing, they are grading your interaction on a structured scale. So you know that this person has more qualities of a leadership, this person has better communication, so like that. Then third parameter could be skill assessment. You expose them to a situation whereby you can assess, okay, give them a real case, for example. You communicate to the patient about this disease and the patient has a cancer, for example. Or you ask them on computer simulation or practice this and demonstrate that. So their mechanisms are available, because the only point I want to emphasize right now is we sometimes don't realize how important it is to select a right person. If you are not careful in that, the whole work life is going to spend in the organization. So not only you are affecting the present of the organization, but also the future of the organization, because this person is going to be there. So a good manager will always think of long-term implication of selecting a person. If you have not selected a proper person, again, the other person who are performing well in the organization, they will feel this person has come because of certain pressure. So he will be demoralized. And third, you are yourself exposing yourself to more pressure in future, because this person has put some pressure from somewhere and got himself appointed or selected. So this person, next time he wants to go on long leave, we will now call the same particular resource.
Okay, that means it is better to keep
on that note, we'll close here, and you can ask your question after the break, and we'll be back here at 1 o'clock. And I again request my all viewers who are sitting at various regional centers, please do send your question. If you are not able to get your phones, maybe then you are through fax, you can also during this break you can fax your questions also. Thank you very much.